from the very early stages, I was like pushing online, like virtual analysis and stuff like that, and digital products. So I created a MVP, so to speak, a minimal viable product of this kicking guide. And yeah, people were actually showing a lot of interest in it. And then I was like, okay, well, let's build this out. I think I was charging like $5 for like, this PDF. And then over the course of a year, I built it out to like $100 product, and people absolutely love it. So yeah, my mind's always been like that. Like, knowing that there's only a certain amount of hours in the day where someone can come see you in person, after work, after school. So trying to create passive income was definitely something I did from the start.
G'day guys, coming up on the show today is Josh Growden. Josh is the founder of The Kicking Consultant, a company that helps Australian rules and American football players improve their kicking. Lots to look out for in this ep, including Josh's journey from an AFL player at the GWS Giants to be a college punter at LSU, how he's built his coaching business from the ground up, and an insight into the specifics that go into perfecting your kicking style. It's fair to say Rubes and I would have really benefited from this back in the day. Let's go.
I started volunteering.
It's all about who you know in sport.
Am I going to be calling the last 10 seconds of the grand final?
You can connect with the interviewer. The hand goes up when they've got to make a decision.
Having a network is one of the most important things you can do.
I didn't necessarily follow my passion. I followed my curiosity.
Once you've worked in sport, there's no going back.
And then lo and behold, before I left, I got offered 2.
Hello and welcome to the SportsGrad podcast, the ultimate guide to make it in the sports industry. I'm Ryan Walker, and joining me is the grad consultant, Reuben Williams. We are two mates who met at Cricket Australia, and each week we learn how people made it in the sports industry, tease out their career decisions, their work habits, skills, and everything they do that makes them great. Also, you can learn how you get in, get promoted, and get thriving in the sports industry. Rubes, the grad consultant. Do you mind that?
Yeah, I don't mind that. That's how this all started, to be honest. It all began with small group sessions in the Deakin University Library, coaching students on how to write their resume, etc. So, it goes back to the roots.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It goes right back. It's kind of like 2017 vibes.
Yeah, very much so.
Jeez,
very much
that's
so.
Scary.
It's a long time ago.
Hey, kicking consultant. We've wanted to get Josh on for a while. Great guy. We love his content online. We said in the episode that, my God, we could have used this back in the day. Like, I reckon maybe I might have got somewhere with my footy if Josh was around.
I know.
When I was coming through.
I might have made a better transition from soccer into Aussie rules football. But, I could definitely use it. I know taking the kick-outs always just used to get me super, super nervous because you're right on display. Yeah. And my kicking wouldn't hit the target all the time. So you'd usually cop a spray from the coach if you got that wrong.
I used to look for the opportunity to do the kick-outs because, one, you get another kick. Like, just helps your stat line. And 2, it's like I would never, ever do anything risky. Just bomb it long every time.
Yep.
I'm too scared to kick into the pocket in case I kick it out of bounds on the full.
Yep.
But no, this is a really good episode. Like, as I said, we've wanted to get him on for a while. So it's fantastic to speak to Josh. Also, the countdown's on.
Yep.
We're not too far away. Is it under a month?
Yeah, under a month.
Holy.
Under a month, and then I'm off overseas. So Josh is actually a great example of someone like-minded to me who's trying to do this remotely. So those people might enjoy hearing Josh's vision. But yes, less than a month to go, and then I'll be back online.
It's scary times at HQ. If anyone wants to be my friend, you're welcome to come to the comments anytime. But yeah, it's a scary, scary setup. But no, it's very exciting also. All right, let's get cracking. If you don't already, follow us on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with us and hundreds of others working in the sports industry, become a member of the SportsGrad community. Ruse, speaking of our community, what's been happening at the moment?
Well, this has been one of the great weeks in the SportsGrad community of all time because the FIFA Women's World Cup have just announced who is going to be a volunteer and who's not going to be a volunteer. And our Wins channel has just been popping off all day for the last couple of days. So everyone from Rishab's in there, V's in there, Fushwang, Sid, Billy, Julio, Daniel, I could go on. All these people are just posting their screenshots of the email that they've got from the FIFA Women's World Cup saying you're in, which is amazing. Like, imagine starting your career with a volunteer position at the FIFA Women's World Cup. It doesn't really get bigger than that.
The logo looks good on your LinkedIn as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, imagine that. First experience on your resume, FIFA Women's World Cup. How
so good.
It's also meetup month. We've got a couple of meetups coming up at the end of May, which is fantastic. So keep an eye out for them. Make sure you get along. Panel, food, drink, the whole lot. It's going to be amazing again. So they're back, which is always a great time.
It is. Awesome.
And on that note, if you want to stay up to date with everything that we do, all the meetups, all the events, all the podcasts and everything, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. sportsgrad.com.au/newsletter is where you can get all that info, and you'll never miss out on anything that's coming your way.
Brilliant. Great newsletter as well. Can vouch for it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Awesome. Let's get cracking. Enjoy this chat with Josh Growden. Aiming for a future in sport? Be ready to transform the industry. Study with Deakin and be prepared to redefine what it means to work in sport. Deakin's School of Exercise and Nutrition Science is ranked number 1 in the world. So if you want to turn your passion for sport into an impactful career, get ready to push the limits of exercise and sports science, sports coaching, sport development, sports management, nutrition science, physical education, and more. Apply now to study at Deakin in 2023. Josh, welcome to the SportsGrad podcast.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Josh, it's great to be crossing to you in the great state of South Australia. You guys have just had Gather Round, and I believe you went to a couple of games and were amongst the city. What was that like for the first Gather Round to be a part of it?
Yeah, it was really awesome. I think it went really well. I got to go to, the Thursday night game with the Crows and then finished it off on Sunday afternoon with the Giants game. So, it was just really cool to see the town up and about. Bit of rain across the weekend, which probably didn't help, but looked like from everything I saw, looked pretty good, looked pretty successful.
And not only did it bring in footy fans, but I saw a couple of Australian cricketers were in town. You got to catch up with your old teammate Alex Carey, I believe. I saw some stuff on social media around that. Yeah.
So Keza, turns out he doesn't live too far away from me. So when he's back in the country, so I was just by chance just happened to bump into him at the cafe and had a coffee with him. So it was pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool, just walking down the street and bump into the Australian keeper.
Well, that was the thing. I was like, it sounds Keza. I haven't seen him since we're at the Giants, and I was like, as I'm sitting down and people are looking like, this is like a Test cricketer.
Yeah, OG GWS mates though, so you can claim that forever.
That's it.
Josh, we usually start our podcast with some quick fire questions to let us, I guess, get to know you a little better. So I'll kickstart it and we can go from there. First question we've got for you is, what was your first ever job?
Apart from helping my dad on the farm, it was probably working with builders. This being a builder's bitch.
And what did you study at university?
I studied human movement, essentially, this is over in America, they call it kinesiology, and then my master's in high performance sport.
Nice. What was your favourite sporting moment?
LSU versus Auburn 2017 and 2018, 2 games we played against them. And both we beat them in the dying minutes, had mates there at the games, and that was some pretty epic wins in front of 100,000 diehard LSU fans.
Niche, but sounds incredible.
Yeah, I love that.
yeah. Apart from that, maybe went to the drawn AFL grand final as a spectator. That was a pretty cool one. But yeah, definitely the college football, if you're familiar with it, you probably understand. But if not, it's crazy.
Mm. And what's one book or podcast that has helped you with your business?
A podcast I'm listening to religiously, almost refreshing the podcast, waiting for one to come out, is The Art of Online Business. He's an American fella, Rick Mulready, and it just seems like everything he says just relates. So that's been great. A book that really helped me was Robert Kiyosaki's The Cash Flow Quadrant. that kind of, it was recommended to me, and that kind of, when I first started doing this, and that really, it's kind of been my North Star, so to speak.
Nice. I love it. Is there any particular episode from that podcast that you've listened to multiple times?
No, not really. But they all just are so good. Like, I don't know, for me anyway, like personally, like they're pretty cool.
Great. Last question. If you had 30 minutes to pick someone's brain, who would that be?
Tom Brady.
Love it.
What would you want to ask him?
Oh, everything. Just like all the success he's had. Then the business kind of brands that he's worked with, and his own brand that he's building, the Brady brand, and Giselle, all that.
Give it a lowdown on everything.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Josh, let's go right back because we're really keen to understand how you got to the point where you're now running your business, the Kicking Consultant. So walk us through what sort of things led up to this point in time that you've been through in terms of work, playing footy, study, the rest of it.
Yeah, how far back do we want to go? Like
wherever you think's appropriate.
So obviously I played footy as a kid, built up through the ranks and ended up getting selected into the AIS squad. And then from that into the Giants as a pre-draft 17-year-old. Then was on the list for 3 years, broke my leg, had 2 hip surgeries, so spent a lot of time on the sidelines not actually playing. Played a couple of preseason games, but didn't end up playing a game in the AFL. Got delisted, thought like world had ended, like what am I going to do? The plan was to come back to South Australia, play SNFL, study, and try, like, in that year, try and get drafted again or picked up again or whatever. And then if that didn't work out, I was going to go transfer, like, university to overseas in America, like an exchange. And then my mate who got delisted from the Crows, he told me about this tryout with Pro Kick Australia to become a punter for American football, to go to college. And I was like, that seems so much more enjoyable, and that is exactly what I want to do, then go back and play SNFL footy. So just kind of middle of pre-season, just finished the most grueling 3-day Star Force camp, and then was like, no, I'm going to do this punting. So I tried out and like got the all clear to I was eligible and I was good enough to have the potential to do it. So moved to Melbourne, did Pro Kick Australia with Nathan Chapman for a year, got a scholarship to Louisiana State University, which is one of the biggest colleges in America. Played there for 4 years, got my degree in sports science, transferred to West Virginia University to start my master's and finish out my last year. And then that was just before COVID happened. So was going to try and go play in the Canadian Football League, like the next level. NFL was probably not going to be for me. And then, came back to Australia again. At that point, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I was like, well, I'll just go back to study, finish off my master's. So I transferred across to UTS, University of Technology Sydney, just did that online. Then got asked to coach the punters here in Adelaide. So because of COVID, all the punters in Pro Kick Australia who were in Melbourne had to spread out back to their home states. Don't know what's going on, let's go back home. So I got asked by Nathan to coach them. Was loving it. Then was getting interest from people to improve their footy. You know how to teach punting and kick further. I want to kick further for footy. Started doing that. And then probably the crux was when I started posting videos on TikTok. And that just really the engagement was crazy. People were emailing me, this and that. And it just has gone from there.
Nice.
Amazing.
That TikTok switch, was that like a bit of a sliding door moment, I guess? Because it seemed like it just kind of kicked off from there once, everyone was locked inside and had the time to look at it all.
Yeah, well, this was probably, what year was it? This is only in 2021. Maybe around this time, 2 years ago, honestly. Seriously. So it was definitely, because I went from posting punting footage and that wasn't getting many views. And then when I posted like one video of me kicking like torps from, drop punts from 50, torps from 60 or whatever, that got like 100,000 views. And I was like, oh, of course, like this, all my footage is going to Aussie viewers, and they don't care about punting, they care about footy. So, it was like, looking back, it's like, of course, like, why wouldn't I have done that? Like, but at the time, you don't like I said, I was still studying, didn't really know, knew the field that I wanted to be in, but didn't know I could specifically become a kicking coach. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
And so what led to you going into it full time?
Getting knocked back from 3 different jobs was definitely a catalyst. So I knew at the time, like, I needed to make money. This was, posting videos on TikTok doesn't make you money. So I applied for a role as a fitness instructor at the UniSA, a role with Port Adelaide as a sports science assistant, and then a role with Lumen Sports as an account coordinator. And after that final application where they were literally like, we want you to apply for this role, and I didn't get it, I was like, okay, I'm going all in on my business. It's what I wanted to do anyway. Like, I've never felt like when I was applying for those roles that it felt right. I've never really wanted to work for anyone else. It was, I guess, a blessing to get, knocked back from those jobs, and definitely a sign for me like, we're going all in on this. So.
And when you went all in, what sort of things were you offering at the time? Was it just coaching, or did you have other different things you were selling too? Yeah,
so I was coaching in person, but I knew that was never the end goal. Like, you can't scale that. So from the very early stages, I was like pushing online, like virtual analysis and stuff like that, and digital products. So I created a MVP, so to speak, a minimal viable product of this kicking guide. And people were actually showing a lot of interest in it. And then I was like, okay, well, let's build this out. I think I was charging like $5 for like, this PDF. And then over the course of a year, I built it out to like $100 product, and people absolutely love it. So that's, my mind's always been like that. Like, knowing that there's only a certain amount of hours in the day where someone can come see you in person, after work, after school. And then after that, like, that's it. So trying to create passive income was definitely something I did from the start.
So that virtual analysis, would people send in a video of them kicking, and then you would film yourself recording feedback and send it back to them? How did that work?
Yeah, it was just like this, like a one-on-one Zoom call. I'd pull up the video that they sent me, often get them send like 5 to 10 videos, and we just go through it. It's a weird concept for Aussies, I think, to grasp, but as an American footballer, like, you do film analysis on every kick, essentially. So I'm looking forward for that time when Aussies start to actually film themselves kicking, because a lot of them actually have never seen themselves kick before. And that's one of those crucial things, like seeing that visual feedback of yourself, like, oh, that's how I kick. Like, I don't kick it like, an elite AFL footballer. Fancy that. And then, but it's just one of the things that might take time. I think you're starting to see it more and more. And then, like, I've been coaching pro athletes, pro punters in America and Canada, and like getting great results through virtual analysis and stuff like that. But so I don't push it hard. I'm just, it's there for people if they want it.
Yeah. When you first started, what were some of those, small little teething issues that you get when you're first starting a business? Like, when you're telling that story, I think very similar story to what we're doing as well, sort of selling things pretty cheap at the start, and obviously they build in value. But were there some things that stood out to you that was some real challenges to get it off the ground?
Yeah, definitely. I think figuring out like what people would pay and like what your value is. So definitely like undercharging. Like, I remember, like for this online analysis, like even in person stuff, like a quarter of the price that, I charge now. And it's, and then looking at people in similar industry, like you look at PTs who charge $100 an hour or something like that. And it's just like, there's hundreds of PTs and all you need is a Cert 3 or whatever. So Yeah, things like that. Definitely. There's so much we could probably spend the whole hour talking about the teething problems. But yeah, that's probably the biggest.
And what about like the technology to go in and like set up your own sort of like online shop and online coaching business? Like, were you aware of all the different sort of tools available out there beforehand, or how did you, I guess, construct the online infrastructure of what you do?
Yeah, so I was doing an internship with the Paralympics and working closely with their table tennis player, and the skill acquisition coach Ross Pinder's like very quite educated, his PhD level stuff, and he got me onto this platform that's like he used for like when he was doing his PhD on cricket, on batting and stuff. And that's just kind of where I do like my one-on-one Zoom calls. I use that, and it's pretty cool. Like, you can get quite in detailed with like tracking the motion and even your foot speed and stuff like that, the pace the ball comes off your foot. But I've kind of simplified it, and now I just use it as to like just a way to slow-mo videos and stuff like that. And then, yeah, just used my website, just searched for like a website that was cheap, but also had like the options for doing like e-commerce, like digital product sales, but also like booking services and stuff like that. So it's all just kind of been based around what that website had to offer, I guess.
We're on Squarespace, and we shopped around a bit to try and find out what do you use. There's so many different options out there at the moment. Sometimes we feel like we're starting to outgrow Squarespace, and we're looking at things like Webflow, but then you got Shopify, which is pretty easy to use too. So it can be a bit confusing at the start because there's a lot of options out there.
Definitely. I use Wix, and that's been pretty good. I'm looking at maybe like Kajabi or Click, probably more towards Kajabi for like membership type setup. But yeah, we'll see.
Some of our SportsGrad members will be familiar with Kajabi because we started on Kajabi. Like, we had all of our community in there, and I think they sell themselves as like an all-in-one membership marketing tool. Like, you can run your emails through there, your CRM, your community platform, digital courses, the lot. So yeah, we for what we were doing, it suited something else. But yeah, we've tried a lot of different things. It's kind of frustrating being like, oh, there's another thing that does this better. Do we go to that? Do we? Yeah. So getting the tech right in doing all this is so important and can be so frustrating when you've never been there before.
100%. And I use Team Builder for my strength and conditioning programs and stuff. So like, that's a platform in of its own, and that's actually quite good. Like, you can communicate through that and stuff. And it's like, I don't want all these different platforms. It's like, let's really simplify it. So until I'm really needing to expand to maybe that Kajabi or whatever, I'm just going to stick with my website because I know it really well, and Team Builder because I know it really well, and kind of just combine them as simply as I can. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens.
And I reckon I first came across you when I think an ad for your stuff popped up. Like, when did the paid ads start coming into what you do?
So probably like a lot of people just done the boost the post, which is almost useless, I think, on the old Instagram with the very simple form. But then I paid an ads manager to sit down with me for like 8 hours and teach me like meta ads, like Facebook, Instagram ads. So that was, what was I doing? Yeah, that was probably just more like, was it the end of last year? Going into a bit more targeted stuff. So you could do like people who watch 25% of your videos, people who've been on your website in the last 365 days or this and that. And, you know, it tracks it a lot better. So you can refine the audience, or you can refine the creative. So like what the ad actually is, like as simple as changing the text and like the call to action or something. And like you want to just change one thing at a time so you know what's creating that result. But yeah, that's something that I'm delving into and more I've kind of paused it, looking to go into it again more as I am looking to head overseas in the next couple of months.
Nice.
And I'd love to come back to that in just a sec because I'm doing a very similar thing. But are you, like, when you were doing the ads, were you running them just into Australia, or are you sending them right around the world?
Nah, these ones, Australia. And then I will look to do some like punting ones in America. And then, almost like want it to like just have like some sort of evergreen ad that one is not trying to sell anything. It's just like, I guess, a nice video that shows people like what they get if they kind of follow me, like what, who I am type of thing, like obviously kicking, whatever. And then, maybe one that is a bit more like my introductory type of like offer. It could be, I'm not sure, like maybe I might have a free lead magnet type thing. And then definitely like for my membership, like when I kind of open up the next intake for that, like setting things up for that. So targeting like 20 to 30-year-old male footballers.
Yep. I know we're getting into a lot of the brass tacks of setting up an online business here. But like for people listening who might be interested, like, you're obviously a great kicking coach, but we've already covered off like a dozen different other roles that you've had to play in doing this business. Is like the video editing and creating your own ads. Do you do all that as well? Have you got someone helping you out?
Nah, I do it all, mate. I tell you what, it has been good kind of, I guess, contracting things out to other people. One like my good mate, who's become a good mate of mine, like a strength and conditioning coach, like letting him take care of a lot of that. I guess kind of paying that ads manager, like I'm almost thinking about like to teach me now. I'm like, you know what, like I might just pay him to just do it. Like he does run ads. But yeah, like I've paid videographers. I would love to get a video editor, especially for like YouTube videos. Things like TikTok, Instagram, that's pretty straightforward. Just use CapCut, subtitles. Like it doesn't really need an audio. Like I know what I want in those videos. So yeah, there's so many things, right? Like all your marketing, like email marketing, building out your website, copywriting, all your financial business, like financial stuff. Like, there's a lot of hats you have to wear apart from just being a good kicking coach or whatever it is that you are.
Yeah. Now, I noticed some of your recent Instagram posts of you, with the mic, actually hands-on teaching people, and if someone's filming that, and it makes like a massive difference. You can just go out and do it, and someone's just handling that for you. So
100%.
It and it looks fantastic. So speaking of that one-on-one coaching, who are you trying to help? Like, who's your demographic, and I guess what are the different things that you're offering those people?
Yeah, I guess like my flagship offer and like ideal client at the moment is 20 to 30-year-old male footballers, like local footballers. So providing a comprehensive training coaching program. So not just kicking, because like I said, I got the masters in high performance sport, collaborated with my mate who has a master's in strength and conditioning, collaborated with Port Adelaide's nutritionist to get nutrition help from her. So that's like my main thing, and that's definitely where probably 90% of my income comes from at the moment. In-person stuff is ideally like it would be like similar age group as well. For maybe like teenagers and up, like I'd say you have to kick a size 4 or size 5 footy. Like if you're kicking a size 3, like you just like either get my guide or like your father, your parent, like your coach can probably help you. I feel like, my knowledge may be a bit wasted on them and they don't need to spend the money on it. And then like I can definitely, like for females, like my mate, he does like a female football academy, so kind of refer girls onto him. But yeah, it just like depends on when I get the time. So like when I do master classes, like I'd love to help as many people as I can, and people always want that one-on-one, but I'm like, look, if you wanted a one-on-one, you'd be like, there's so many more people who have already reached out. So like try to do the master classes, try and hit male, female from like 18 and up. And then I've even done like free sessions for like younger kids and stuff like that.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's dig into the kicking for a bit. So for people who are trying to, get an idea of, what does going to a kicking coach actually involve and look like, when someone arrives at a session with you, what are some of the things that you walk them through? And then when you watch them kick for the first time, what do you look for in their kick?
Yeah, so essentially come along and I try and get straight into it, like just have a little kick around. It's one, warming up and getting the eye in, just having a chat, like what is it that you want to improve? I often ask where they rate their kicking out of 10. you know, like they might say like it's 5 or a 6 or whatever. And then like, okay, like what do you think's holding you back from being a 7 or an 8? And, you know, they kind of say what they struggle with. And then it's like, you know, they might say, I want to work on the run kicking. I'm like, okay, cool. And or it might be like, oh, I just want to work on a goal kicking like set shot. So yeah, we just build into that. But yeah, so from that little warm up, getting your eye in, I then film them kicking. Because like I said, no one's really seen themselves kick before, but I think it's so powerful showing them. So yeah, based on what kick they want to improve on, we do a few kicks, get a couple in, because sometimes people get a bit funny when the camera gets out and they don't kick how they normally do. And that's also why I don't just go straight into filming. I let them kind of get their eye in and stuff. Film it from front and side. And then we just, have a look through it and almost ask them, like, what do you see? What do you feel? This and that. And then, kind of provide what I see. And then, you know, make sure they have that understanding, like, like I see that too. Like, let's fix that. And then we go away. And from there, it's like, either I'm just like, let's just focus on, say if it's just having a straighter arm when they guide the ball down. Okay, let's just think about that as we kick back and forth. And if that comes, great. If it's not really happening, then with them just thinking about doing it, we'll do drills that really break it down to try and get that, I guess, muscle memory or whatever, like break old habits. And then, have work on that, work drills, and then always end being a bit more dynamic, where it's like maybe a bit of decision making, a bit more contextual stuff where they're not really thinking about the technique, and hopefully what they've just been working on carries over. And and then either refilm it if there's time, but typically that's about where it ends, being more dynamic, and they're usually leaving with a lot more confidence. And, you know, just one or two things that like, okay, like one, like they've actually made the changes, or two, like they know what they need to do. And then I give them resources to continue on improving. And if they can come see me again, then we can book that in as well.
Ryan and I have both played park football and probably have a lot of the issues that a lot of your clients have. So for you've seen a lot of people kick. What are some of the most common issues that people have when they kick, and then what are some of the tips that you give them to fix those common problems?
Yeah, probably. So people often come to me to want to kick further and with more penetration, and I love that. Like being a punter, it's essentially what we're trying to do, kick ball as far as possible. So with that, often it's like really in the balance and in the plant leg. So you'll see often people are really unstable through that plant leg, and they often are rolling out of the kick too soon. So you may have heard me talk like a fast bowler in cricket. There's like an analogy I use. So when a fast bowler comes in to bowl the ball, they plant hard and they stop their forward momentum and then let their arms sling through. Well, with football, it's kind of like the same thing. If you're trying to kick the ball really far and you plant and you roll out of the kick, you're not really letting your leg whip through. So I kind of say that analogy and then get them to plant firmly, stay really flat on their heel at contact, and then you'll really feel the difference of that leg slinging through, and then you roll afterwards. So it's a bit of a timing thing, and there's drills that I do, like the no-step kick, to really help with that. But that's a common one that I see with people who want to get more penetration in their kicks. And obviously, like the grip and the drop, like if you don't get that right, then it's hard to flow through and get the contact right anyway. So just simple adjustments on the grip, like going from people being a bit more at the back of the ball to getting them more hands over the front of the ball, gives them a lot more control to bring the ball back into their body. Often a common mistake is the ball just gets let out too far away and you end up reaching for the ball, and then there's no power in that position. So yeah, definitely probably those two areas is the most common.
I remember the no-step kick being the greatest drill on earth in AFL because magically you don't step and all of a sudden you can just kick perfect trot punts, go the distance, no problem. Like they used to amaze me, like, oh, okay, well, if I just reduce the movement on my left leg, I reckon that will work just fine. But one thing that's interesting about this is, like, we played footy for how long? Like 15 years. Like,
I started in uni.
yeah, wow, amazing. And, you probably go through plenty of sessions when you're a youngster. You play all through the years where you're taught how to kick, but you never really master it. And that's probably because we didn't put in the effort enough. But for someone who comes along to you and does your sessions, like how quickly do you start to see results off the back of that, given they're pretty committed to what you're saying?
Yeah, well, obviously it depends on how bad they are when they come to sessions. So, often, I've probably always had, like I said, like someone leave with like it being quite fixed, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe like that. Yeah, that's it. Like that's done. Like sweet. Or it's like, okay, like I know you've now given me the confidence. Like I know what I need to do, and I'll go away and work on it. But yeah, I've had like sessions with like clubs with like their female girls, and like just the improvement is insane. And like I actually really do enjoy that. Like seeing that the results in just 45 minutes is crazy. And then, with like the more developed players, like working with an SNFL footballer, former AFL footballer, just last night. And like, he's been seeing me ongoing because he is at that level where it's like, he's quite a good kick, and it's just like small percentages that compound can really get things going for him. And doing a bit more advanced stuff, like working more on the run and bit of decision making, like around the body types of kicks, incorporating opposite foot and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. Like, Roger Federer had a one-on-one coach for years and years and years, and he's the best in the world, but he still needs a coach. And so for these footballers, you might have obviously got a team coach, but it's rare that you get someone working one-on-one with you. So it makes sense if you want to improve that you go get a coach. I just want to come back to that drill that you touched on, planting the leg. If you had to put a number on, what percentage does that improve the distance of your kick? Like, have you seen like a regular sort of 10 to 15% increase in the distance that someone can kick when they start to incorporate that plant leg, or what's the impact of that?
Yeah, it's hard to quantify, I guess. I guess with kicking for distance, like it's majority is about your leg speed. So how fast your foot comes through. Then it's that final like 10% where it's the balance and the contact, your nature of impact. If you want to kick further, you've got to increase your foot speed. And I could go on again for hours on that. I've got free stuff I've got blogs and videos and everything on my website if you want to look into it. But essentially, like power, mobility, and some sort of like improvement in your technique is going to help you improve your foot speed to kick further. And then, that balanced leg stuff like that, I see that just with just people who want to kick better anyway, like act more accurately, being more stable through your hips, having more control so you're not falling off balance and collapsing and stuff is beneficial.
Yep. Nice. Amazing. I wish I'd found this sort of stuff a long time ago when I started playing footy.
Mate, tell me about it. I'm the same. Like, I'm literally just providing stuff that I wish I had, because my kicking at the Giants sucked. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I had no confidence. I would just kick the ball long because I couldn't really have the accuracy, and it wasn't until I was a punter and really like all I did was kick a footy. And I'm not saying my kicking's amazing. It's just like I know how to like coach it, and I know the struggles that people go through and how to fix it. So, mate, like I know, I just wish someone told me, hey, if you want to kick the ball low and flat, tilt it forward, not backwards, and maybe I'd still be fine. Nah.
Well, I just think it's like I think it's great that you're helping out like the everyday footballer, because AFL clubs are set up to have these amazing programs and assistant coaches, but no one's really helping the local guy at an affordable level as well that everyone can get a hold of. So, and I love the way that you've scaled it too. On that note, you mentioned you're about to head overseas. Well, what are your plans when you head overseas?
Yeah, so heading off on the start of June, going to America with Pro Kick Australia every year, except for when COVID was on, we'd go and do a tour of the US, go visit a lot of punters that we have over there in their colleges. So really fun time. So we're going through like Texas, actually going into Louisiana where I used to live. So that'd be really good. So 2 weeks there. and we take like a bunch of Aussies already who want to go to college. Like they come over, and that's the main thing, showing them what it's like and actually punting on football fields and stuff. So 2 weeks there with them, and then I'm doing 2 weeks in Guatemala, 2 weeks in Colombia, and then I've got like 6 weeks of just freedom. I booked my flight to come back mid-August. Yeah, totally. Just depends on what I feel like doing. I've been learning Spanish for 5 years, so I just want to get fluent, be a bit more fluent in Spanish. So just stay there for as long as I can.
I did see that on your Instagram in the, was it 12 things about me you might not know? You've been teaching yourself Spanish every day for a while. That was really cool. So,
yeah.
And what are you going to do with the business while you're overseas?
Yeah, well, that's like it's always been. Like, I hope that I can still run it while I'm over there. Like, I can't really see why not. Like, just time zone difference is the only thing. So my group-based membership, like I might hire someone, like I've just kind of advertised to hire someone to help me out with that while I'm away. But really, like, if it's a pressing issue, like there's never really been a pressing issue. Like, if I've always gotten back to the guys, it's never been more than 24 hours, and I don't see why that would change while I'm overseas anyway. And then for like just like my social media presence, I definitely learned from last year when I went away that it is a 365-day type thing. So I've just gotten really organized. I know that I'll have email campaigns like automatically scheduled, which I didn't have that version paid for last year. Like all that content that I got from kicking sessions and stuff, like I've got folders of that all ready to go. And then, maybe paying this marketing person to run it for me. So, just kind of get things a bit more automated. And then maybe like, every weekend sit down at a cafe with good internet and smash out some stuff. But I think I'm excited for it, and I think it'll be a good like challenge, but also like a good test to see where the business is at. But I think I'm getting pretty organised for it.
Mm. And has that always been the dream, to be able to travel and still being able to work online? Yeah,
100%. Always like live wherever I want, work from wherever I want, and like work when I want. I can't remember. Like that was before while I was still in America. I remember meeting this girl at the airport, and we just started chatting about that. And like I didn't know what it was I wanted to do, and either did she. But I was like, just online. And now she's living in Bali, doing like teaching online and stuff. And it's like, you can you make it work if you have a goal, and you put things in place. Like you can really make the life that you want.
Yeah. And what's the long-term vision for the kicking consultant? Where do you want to end up?
I would like to get more into the punting side of things, like working more with like pro punters, and then maybe have like, I don't want to say automate the Ausbil stuff, but like definitely like I think I love the membership and helping like that side of things, but almost having like people under me. So I coach, say 20 guys. I'd like to coach the coach who coaches the 20 guys and have like 3 or 4 coaches. Because I think the membership's absolutely amazing. Like the program's amazing, what the results and the confidence and everything that these guys are getting, which they've never really had access to. So I want more people to have it, but I don't feel like I could provide the service to like 100 people. That'd be very hard for one person to do. So have other people, and then I'm managing, and then that's providing jobs for other people, which I think is so cool. So that'd be that, and then maybe having in-person coaches throughout Australia that coach, juniors all the way up, because I know people just love in-person coaching. And obviously I can't provide it to everyone. So that's why I made like scalable digital products and things like that. But for people that really want in-person, I'll have like coaches in their cities or states.
I love it. Well, I'm about to do something very similar. So at the end of May, I'm heading off. Might bump into your friend in Bali, where I'm heading first, but then heading over to Europe after that to drop by the Ashes and the Tour de France, and then make my way down through France, Spain, Portugal to do a very similar thing to you. Very early on, the dream was always, work and travel and live wherever you want, work when you want, do all that sort of thing. So we're going back to a virtual pod in a month and a half or so.
Yep.
So I love crossing paths with people who've got similar sort of ambitions and visions for themselves.
No, that's so good, mate. I was thinking about going to Europe as well, but I'm going to save that till next year. Do that really well next year.
Yeah, come to the Olympics.
Yeah, you have a great time. Oh, where's that?
Paris 25th of July, I believe it kicks off.
Okay.
Or if you want to get there early,
wow.
the Euros are happening in Germany.
Okay, that's not a bad call, because I was thinking like come back to Australia for the summer, like mid-August, obviously not summer, but then stay around, and then like February, March, head to Europe, and then be there till I don't know.
Whatever. You can do whatever, mate.
Whatever. Yeah.
Awesome. And finally, last question. What advice would you give to yourself at the start of your business journey if you were to do it again?
I don't know. Like, I think what I've probably given myself already, like, never doubt yourself is one thing. Like, never doubt yourself. And that's kind of crept in here and there. Like, I think just being a human. Never doubt yourself. Maybe don't stress about the time that it takes. Like, just be a bit more easy on yourself. Like, I think if I look back and I'm like, I've actually done a fair bit. But during the time, sometimes it can look like, like I'm not progressing, like I'm not doing anything. But probably the biggest thing for me was when I switched to more of a higher service, higher pricing point. That's when I was like, okay, I can do this full time. And that was probably, creating something that fulfilled a high price point that really is impactful on people's lives. That was probably a big thing for me. Not sure how I'd describe that myself, but amongst all the gibberish I've just said, I think, just being confident in yourself, not stressing too much about time, be easy on yourself, and provide high service stuff.
Brilliant. Well, Josh, it's been fantastic having you on the show, mate, and just hearing about your journey from, playing at the Giants to breaking your leg and all the way to now, that journey in between has been super insightful. And honestly, the King Consultant sounds like one of the things that I would have just eaten up when I was a bit more into my footy back in the day. And just hearing how you've built it on the back end and digitally, and now the journey you're going to go on working from anywhere is going to be fantastic. So thanks again for your time today, and good luck with everything.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Ruben. I think I remember listening to your podcast back when I had no idea what I was doing in my life, and it really, really helped me in my mental state at the time. Not that it's really didn't help me get a job, thankfully, and everything like that. But no, I really love the work you guys are doing. So thanks for having me on.
Amazing. I forgot that you'd listened to it in the early days. Yeah. There were some sketchy episodes back then, but I'm glad you got something out of them.
I'm almost sorry that you got them, not the new ones.
Oh, mate. Don't stress. I'm the same. Like, I wrote pre-season programs like 2 years ago, and I look back and I'm like, I don't want anyone to have it.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Alrighty, guys, it's time for the People's segment. We love it every week. It's called Ask Sports Grad, where every week we answer a question directly from our community. If you would love to ask a question, first become a SportsGrad member at our website, sportsgrad.com.au/community. You can join there and then add your question to the channel named Ask SportsGrad in our very, very special Discord server. Now, Rubes, the question this week comes from our man Dan, and he says, I've currently got 2 job offers on the table. Wow, that's pretty cool. How do I know which one to take?
Great question, and a great situation to be in when you've got a couple of things you can do. Well, if you don't have clarity about what to do, the best way to get clarity is to ask yourself, what do I want? And that is a very deep philosophical question in a lot of ways. Exactly. But in a weird way, you do have to ask yourself, what do I want in life? And then focus that in on your career. And so I want to give you an example of someone who's done this extremely well. I chatted with a member last week who said to me, Ruben, my goal is to work as an event manager, specifically a venue manager at the 2032 Brisbane Olympics. And so everything I'm going to do for the next 10 years is going to be aligned to that goal of being a venue manager at the Olympics. And so he started to work backwards from this. Well, what experience do I need to get that position? And what do I want to do before that to get that position? And what are some of the skills that I need to pick up along the way, or the experiences that I need to have that will help my career get to this point in time that I really, really want? And so when you've got a goal in mind, it becomes a lot easier to know what you should be doing. Therefore, it becomes easier to make decisions. So if you are having trouble picking a career path, take a step back, ask yourself, where do I want to be in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, 3 years' time? Get really clear on that, and then it should become obvious, should you go left or should you go right?
Yeah, love that. It's super hard. Like, I remember a couple of times I had a couple of opportunities. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I was at CA, I randomly went for a job somewhere. I don't know why I did it.
Where at?
I was at West Coast Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an opportunity there potentially that I could have taken. And I was like, because I didn't really know why I did it. You know, sometimes you just do that. You just put a job in. It happens to me all the time. I know I'm not alone.
You're just kind of testing to see where you're at.
Yeah, you're
just testing the market.
You want to know like where you're at. Like, could I go somewhere else? And I didn't have any intention of leaving CA. Like, I loved it. It was brilliant. But I just randomly did it. And I just, at the end of the day, I just thought, what are the opportunities here? What are they here? What do I have to do to go there? And you just weigh it up. And at the end of the day, like, at the time, I wanted to just excel in partnerships and keep going. And this was a little bit of a change of tact. So at the end of the day, I just came back to what I wanted and made the decision for me. You know in your heart, I reckon. That might be easy to say, but...
Yeah. Your gut feeling usually tells you.
Your gut feeling tells you.
I've got another example. So I finished at Cricket Australia in July 2020. And after I was made redundant there, started on SportsGrad, but then also started on another contract working for a sports consultancy. And after 5 months of working on a contract basis with them, they came to me and said, Ruben, we like that you're doing 2 days a week with us at the moment, but we need someone to do 5 days in this role. Can you do it? And at the time, like, SportsGrad was like still very early on. This was probably Feb 2021 when I had to make this decision. And they said to me, Ruben, do you want the 5 day a week job, or do you not want any? Because there was no more in between. I couldn't do 2 days. It was 5 or nothing. And the 5 day a week job was paying very handsomely, much better than compared to the very start of SportsGrad. And I had to try and weigh up, do I go left or do I go right? But I knew that deep down, all I wanted to do was to grow SportsGrad and make that as good as it could be. So even though it was making peanuts at the time, I went back to them and said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And so I let that go, went all in on SportsGrad. The first month, I think we sold one membership. And so I was like literally shitting myself, like, what have I done? Literally, what have I done? But that kind of helped me grind to make it work out. So now in a very happy place. But it came from knowing what I wanted most.
That was a good Ask SportsGrad segment. There's a lot of detail on that. So thank you, Dan, for your question. And it's a super common one. So be nice to yourself, and you'll know in your heart, and weigh it all up, and you'll find out what you need. Fantastic. Well, if you'd like to ask a question or ask our friends in sport a question, sign up and become a member today. Each week we jump on a Q&A where it's an open floor for you to ask us or industry professionals any of your questions. All these sessions are recorded as well, so you get access to all of our historical sessions as well. It's over 50 hours of content for you. So jump in and join today. Find us on LinkedIn and give us some love with a rating if you enjoy the show. Subscribe on Apple or follow on Spotify. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, one last thing before you go. If you'd enjoy a quick email from us each Friday on all the latest job openings, networking events, Q&As with industry professionals, and latest podcast episodes, then subscribe to the SportsGrad newsletter. Head to our website, www.sportsgrad.com.au/newsletter to subscribe. There's also a link in our show notes to join.